Okay, so get this. We're going back in time 1,000 years to this crazy world of the British monarchy.
Wow.
Yeah. It's not just like a boring history lesson, though.
Right.
It's about power and ambition and how this one institution survived against all odds. I mean, seriously, they've seen wars, scandals, even a king, like, losing his head.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable when you think about it. Like, most empires, they sort of rise and then they fall. But the British monarchy, they've been around for over a millennium.
It's mind-blowing. And we've got this awesome book, The British Monarchy, 1,000 Years of Power and Prestige, to kind of, help us along the way. It's got all the details, all the good stuff.
You got the juicy stuff. And it all starts way back.
Oh, yeah.
Long before Great Britain was even, a thing.
So we're talking about a time when England was just like a bunch of little kingdoms all fighting each other.
Right.
Like Game of Thrones, basically.
Precisely. Imagine a land that's totally divided. They're constantly at war, for power. And then in the middle of all this chaos comes this king with a vision.
Ooh, who's that?
Alfred the Great.
Alfred the Great, okay.
He ruled this kingdom called Wessex back in the 9th century.
Okay.
And he had this dream of a unified England. Now, he didn't actually achieve it, completely.
Right.
But his efforts, they laid the groundwork.
They set the stage.
Exactly. Think of him like the architect, laying the foundation for, this magnificent but kind of complicated building.
I like that. Okay, so we get Alfred. He plants the seed for a unified England.
Yes.
But then, 1066,
Yes.
the Norman Conquest.
Right. This is where things really change.
Absolutely. This is where William the Conqueror, he kind of like storms in from Normandy, wins this big battle at Hastings, and just completely reshapes England. It's not just a new king. It's like a whole new system.
It's like somebody hit the reset button on England.
Totally. William, he introduces the feudal system, he centralizes power, and he brings with him this, I guess you could say, powerful idea, the divine right of kings. Divine right of kings. Wait, what is that?
So basically, it's the belief that the monarch's authority, it comes directly from God.
Okay.
So if you question the king, you're basically like questioning God himself.
Whoa. So the king is not just a ruler, he's like a god king.
Yeah. Pretty intense, right?
Right. That's got to make things interesting.
You can say that again. But here's the thing. Early monarchy, it was not stable at all. Like, imagine constant power struggles, assassinations, wars for the throne. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah, like the Wars of the Roses.
Exactly. Two branches of the royal family just like duking it out for decades.
So the question is, how did they make it through all that?
Right. How did the monarchy survive this, like, super chaotic period? How did they get through all those storms and still come out as this symbol of power?
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
All right, so I've got this monarchy. They're barely hanging on, all these crazy power struggles. And then enter the Tudors.
Right.
They change everything. They really do. That's the thing about the British monarchy, right? They're like masters of reinvention.
Yeah.
The Tudors, they understood that power isn't just about, brute force. It's about image. It's about telling a story that people will believe in.
So they were kind of like the original spin doctors.
Exactly. They knew how to work the system, how to make the public see things their way. And it all started with Henry VII.
Okay.
He ends the Wars of the Roses, but not by, winning another battle. He marries Elizabeth of York. Strategic marriage.
That's...
It was brilliant. United the warring factions, brought peace to England.
Peace at last.
Okay.
Okay, so Henry VII brings stability through marriage, but then his son, Henry VIII, he's a whole other story, right?
Oh, yeah. Henry VIII, he was a force of nature, a king of contradictions, really.
In what way?
Well, he was obsessed with having a son, a male heir,
I've heard about this.
And that led to, the 6 wives.
The 6 wives.
Yeah. And when the Pope wouldn't let him divorce his first wife, Catherine of Aragon, Henry VIII did the unthinkable.
What?
He broke from the Catholic Church.
No way.
Oh, yeah. He established the Church of England.
So he basically said, forget you, Pope, I'll make my own church.
Pretty much. And it worked. This was a huge moment in English history. By making himself the head of the church, Henry VIII, he had all the power.
Right. More than any king before him.
He wasn't just king anymore. He was a religious leader, too.
Okay, wow. So Henry VIII definitely knew how to use power, both political and religious. But then you've got his daughter, Elizabeth I, now she's a legend.
Oh, Elizabeth I, the Virgin Queen, she was amazing.
What made her so great?
She was a master of public image. Think of her like the original influencer.
I suck.
Strength, wisdom, even like divinity.
She had it all.
Her reign, it was a golden age for England. Stability, prosperity, art, culture, it was booming.
It's like she understood branding, like centuries before it was a thing.
Exactly. She projected this image of power, authority, but she also knew how to connect with people. Brilliant speaker, smart diplomat, a symbol of unity in a time when Europe was just like a mess, religiously and politically.
So the Tudors, they really figured out this whole image thing.
It did.
But the monarchy's story doesn't end there, obviously.
Oh, not even close. In the 17th century, things get even more dramatic.
Oh.
The monarchy faces this crisis. It could have been the end for them.
Really?
Yeah. And it all comes down to one guy, Charles I. Remember that divine right thing we were talking about?
Yeah.
Well, Charles I, he took it very seriously.
Okay.
But Parliament, they had other ideas.
Oh, here we go. That's what leads to the English Civil War, right?
Exactly. Charles I, he wants absolute power. Parliament's getting more powerful. Boom, conflict.
And it doesn't end well for Charles I, does it?
No, he loses the war. And, well, he loses his head, too.
Whoa. Okay, so the monarchy's actually abolished, like gone.
Yep. For a little while, England is a republic, led by Oliver Cromwell. It wasn't exactly a smooth transition, though. Lots of chaos.
So how do they bring back the monarchy?
Well, in 1660, they invite Charles II, the son of Charles I, back to be king.
Oh, okay.
They call it the Restoration. But the monarchy doesn't just go back to the way things were before.
You couldn't just, like, pretend nothing happened.
Right. The English Civil War, the Republic, it changed things. They realized they had to adapt.
To survive.
Exactly. That's when we get the constitutional monarchy.
Constitutional monarchy, what's that?
So it means the monarch, they're not the boss anymore.
Not all powerful.
Right. Power is shared with Parliament. Checks and balances, no more tyranny.
So they realized, hey, maybe sharing power isn't so bad.
Yeah. And this shift from absolute power to shared governance, it's why the monarchy is still around today. Adaptation, evolution, it's key.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it. They go from warlords to these god kings to sharing power. That's a crazy journey.
It is.
But then you've got the 20th century. World wars, empires collapsing, democracy on the rise. How does this more modern monarchy deal with all that?
It was a tough time for them, for sure. Huge challenges. But the monarchy, they showed how tough they were. They adapted again.
They always do.
And leading the way, there's this figure. She becomes like the symbol of the modern monarchy.
Who is that?
Queen Elizabeth II.
Queen Elizabeth II. Her reign was super long, right?
Over 70 years. She became queen in 1952, reigned until 2022. The longest reigning British monarch ever.
Wow, 70 years. That's almost a whole century of seeing history happen.
Yeah.
So how did she handle all the changes, all the craziness of the 20th and 21st centuries? Yeah, it's pretty wild to think about all that she must have seen. I mean, how did she keep the monarchy, like, relevant in a world that's changing so fast?
Right. Well, Queen Elizabeth II, she was really good at kind of balancing the tradition with, like, the modern world. Yeah. She understood the power of media. She used it to connect with people all over the world. Think about, like, her coronation.
In 1953, it was on TV.
Yeah.
Groundbreaking. Brought the monarchy right into people's living rooms.
Totally. It was like she opened the doors of Buckingham Palace and said, come on in, everyone.
Exactly.
Right.
She knew that in the age of media, you had to be seen, not just as some distant, queen, but as a real person.
Right.
Someone people could connect with. And she did it. Grace, dignity became a symbol of stability during a time when the world was going through a lot of change.
But it wasn't always perfect, right? I mean, there were scandals. Controversy.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You had the abdication of Edward VIII.
Her uncle, right?
Yeah. Gave up the throne to Mary Wallace Simpson.
American divorcee. Huge scandal back then.
Huge. And then, Princess Diana.
Yeah.
All her struggles, very public. It put a lot of pressure on the royal family.
Like the monarchy was constantly being tested from the inside and out.
Yeah, you could say that. But through it all, Queen Elizabeth II, she was this steady presence. Resilient. She handled it all really well. Duty, service always came first. It's amazing, really. She definitely left her mark. But what about the future? Where does the monarchy go from here?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? We're in uncharted waters.
Yeah.
New challenges in the 21st century. Changing demographics, economic stuff, people even questioning, like, do we even need a monarchy anymore in a modern democracy?
It's a big moment for them.
It's huge. They've survived for 1,000 years by adapting.
Right.
Can they keep doing that in a world that's so different, more diverse, globalized, skeptical of, like, old hierarchies? It's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, no doubt. It's a fascinating story, that's for sure. And it's not over yet.
Absolutely not. More twists and turns to come.
Maybe even more reinventions. That's what makes it so captivating. I mean, it's a reflection of us, our ability to change, to look for meaning, and our obsession with power, tradition, and the stories we tell about ourselves.
Well said.
So for you listening, why should you care about 1,000 years of, British monarchy drama?
Because it's more than just history. It's about human nature, power, the pull of tradition.
Yeah.
It reminds us that even the strongest institutions, they have to adapt to survive.
And that's a lesson that applies to, pretty much everything. Leading a company, starting a movement, even just living your life. The British monarchy. It's a case study in power, resilience, and always needing to reinvent yourself.
It makes you think about the things we value, the traditions we hold on to, and how to find that balance between respecting the past and being open to change.
It's a tough balance. Well, as we wrap up this deep dive, we'll leave you with this thought. What's next for the British monarchy? Another 1,000 years of tradition? Or something completely new? Who knows? The answer, as always, is up to us. The choices we make, the stories we tell, and the future we build. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.